Alright guys, how's it going? I hope you're doing very well. Now I was doing the usual. I was browsing Octane, Blender forums and stuff like this. And I noticed that one of the users, I think it's Alex Torhan? Ah, well butchered that name, I apologise mate. He made a very nice material shader for a wireframe. And I thought that's pretty good, having a material replicate the wireframe look. It can come in handy, especially if you want to mix and stuff like this. But it also got me thinking, there's actually quite easier ways to do a wireframe inside of Blender Octane, and I'll show you a few ways. So let's quickly jump into layout here, and we'll just quickly jump into the render viewport. Now the first thing that you're probably best to do is to enable the wireframe pass. So what you need to do is you need to go to the view layers, come all the way down to the info panel, and you can see here wireframe, and just enable it. And when you press F12, this is one thing that you might get, report error, no render outputs is seen. And that's because I was in a compositing, so I'm just going to disable the nodes at the moment. What a newbie, what a newbie. Anyway, that's a good bit of problem solving. So when we render out the scene, you can see here we have the passes, we have the combined, the beauty and the wireframe. So that might get you where you want to go, you might be happy with that. Or you might want to combine them, and that's why I was in the compositor. So we'll close this down, we'll go into compositing. And you can see here we have the wireframe. Now let's just quickly update this because sometimes the viewer doesn't like to update. It's a pain in the ass sometimes. What we can do is we can take the beauty and multiply it with the wireframe, and now we get the beauty in the wireframe render. Now this is good if you want to display this to potential clients, maybe you're pitching for a new job, stuff like this. Perfect. So that's one way to do wireframes. There is another way to do wireframes. So let me change the kernel. Now the kernel is essentially, best way to describe it is the render engine. So I'm going to go into the options here and I'm going to go to Octane kernel. And what we're generally using is something like this. It's a direct lighting kernel. Now you can change this. And I'm going to change this to the info kernel. And we'll just plug this into the output. And you can see here the type. So the type will give you all different things. And this lets you actually view it inside of the viewport. So you can see that we're on wireframe, and you can also see that the background has an alpha, and this is because I've enabled the alpha channel. If I take it off, it'll go white. And we can change the samples and all that, so you can actually up or down the samples. You don't need 500, I think 125 would be enough. But anyway, obviously we can change the type, so you can do like the normals and stuff like this. So that's another way to get wireframe. Now the old school method that a lot of users still use is you can do it the old school method. Yeah. You can add a modifier and you could do a wireframe modifier. I'm not a big fan of this because it creates geometry, but you can do things like the thickness and stuff like this. And I think there's actually an edge node inside the Blender Octane. I need to double check that. But yeah, so there's several ways to do wireframes. I'll leave a link for Alex's tutorial. It's pretty good. It's very basic material and it pretty much replicates a wireframe look as well. But that's it. Any questions? You know what to do. Take care.